Hey, sports card fans, it's John Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. It's time to take a look at the top 10 PSA vintage baseball card sales on eBay for cards from the 1930s and 1940s for November 2025. Now, while these two top 10 lists typically have the same cards show up every month on the top 10 lists, I always find it interesting to see which grades eye appeal and prices that those cards sell for. And on occasion, there are some cards that make a surprise appearance on the top 10 lists. And for this month, that's the case for both the 1930s and 1940s. And for November, there are a few record high sales to report. So let's get to the two top 10 lists. Starting off with the top 10 from the 1930s. At number 10, we have this 1933 George C. Miller Bill Dickey in a PSA 5. This one sold on November 5th for $5,850. It was a best offer. The current VCP average price for a PSA 5 is this sale here at $5,850, as it represents a new record high sale for a PSA 5 copy. The previous high was $2,520 back in July of 2023 through Heritage. At number 9, we have this 1933 Sport Kings Babe Ruth in a PSA 1 with a mark. It was sold on November 1st for $5,890. It was a best offer. The current VCP average price for a PSA 1 qualifier is $4,565. This sale here at $5,890 represents a new record high sale for a PSA 1 qualifier. The previous high was $4,050 back in October of 2024 through eBay. At number 8, we have this 1939 Play Ball Ted Williams in a PSA 5. This one sold on November 30th for $6,575. It was an auction. There were 72 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 5 is this sale here at $6,575 and represents a new record high sale for a PSA 5 copy. The previous high was $5,795 back in November of 2024 through eBay. Now, there was one other significant 1939 Play Ball Ted Williams sale in November. This one, a PSA 2 copy, sold on November 10th for $4,718. At number 7, we have this 1934 Gaudi Lou Gehrig, card number 37 in the set. One of the most beautiful cards ever produced, in my opinion. This one sold on November 9th for $7,994. It was an auction. There were 33 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 4 is $7,559. The record high sale was $19,995 back in July of 2021 through a PWCC listing on eBay. Now, there was one other significant 1934 Gaudi card number 37 sale in November. A PSA 1 copy sold on November 8th for $2,875. At number 6, we have this 1933 Gaudi Babe Ruth card number 181 in the set in a PSA 1.5. This one sold on November 24th for $8,403. It was an auction. There were 42 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 1.5 is $7,592. The record high sale was $11,281 back in October of this year through Clean Sweep. Now, there were two other significant 1933 Gaudi Babe Ruth card number 181 sales in November. The first one, a PSA 1.5 with a mark, sold on November 9th for $8,027, and then a PSA 1 copy, sold on November 30th for $5,192. At number 5, we have this 1933 Worldwide Gum Babe Ruth in a PSA 2. This one sold on November 24th for $9,900. It was an auction. There were 38 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 2 is $11,297. The record high sale was $14,640 back in July of this year through Heritage. At number 4, we have this 1933 Gaudi Lou Gehrig card number 160 in the set in a PSA 3 with a gold Mike Baker sticker. This one sold on November 4th for $10,700. It was a best offer. Current VCP average price for a PSA 3 is $6,728. The record high sale was $11,300 back in October of this year through eBay. Now, there were two other significant 1933 Gaudi Lou Gehrig card number 160 sales in November. First one, a PSA 1 copy, sold on November 2nd for $3,200, and then a PSA 1.5 copy, sold on November 23rd for $3,050. At number 3, we have the 1934 Gaudi Lou Gehrig card number 61 in the set in a PSA 6. This one sold on November 15th for $14,000. It was a best offer. The current VCP average price for a PSA 6 is $16,772. The record high was $21,344 back in December of 2024 through eBay. Now, there was one other significant 1934 Gaudi Lou Gehrig card number 61 sale in November. This one, a PSA 1 copy, sold on November 19th for $3,100. At number 2, we have this 1933 Gaudi Babe Ruth card number 144 in a PSA 3.5. This one sold on November 13th for $27,500. It was a buy it now. The current VCP average price for a PSA 3.5 is $14,700. So this sale here at $27,500 represents a new record high sale for a PSA 3.5 copy. Now, this does have the excellent sticker by PWCC on the back. The previous high was $25,200 back in September of 2022 through PWCC. Now, there were 4 other significant 1933 Gaudi Babe Ruth card number 144 sales in November. First off, we have a PSA 1.5 copy that sold on November 28th for $12,500. Another PSA 1.5 copy sold on November 18th for $11,500. Then a PSA 1 copy sold on November 30th for $6,527. And finally, an authentic altered copy sold on November 22nd for $6,105. And the number 1 sale for the 1930s for November 2025 is this 1933 Gaudi Babe Ruth card number 149 in the set in a PSA 4.5. This one sold on November 11th for $34,666. It was an auction. There were 72 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 4.5 is this sale here at $34,666, but it's not a record high sale. The record high sale for a PSA 4.5 was $44,250 back in August of 2021 through a PWCC listing on eBay. Now, there was one other significant 1933 Gaudi Babe Ruth card number 149 sale in November. We have a PSA 4 copy selling on November 8th for $23,750. All right, on to the top 10 from the 1940s. At number 10, we have this 1941 Play Ball Joe DiMaggio in a PSA 3. This one sold on November 20th for $5,850. It was a buy it now. The current VCP average price for a PSA 3 is $4,300. This sale here at $5,850 represents a new record high sale for a PSA 3 copy. The previous high was $4,300 back in October of this year through eBay. Now, there was one other significant 1941 Play Ball Joe DiMaggio sale in November. We have a PSA 1.5 with a mark selling on November 26th for $2,520. At number 9, we have this 1940 Play Ball Joe DiMaggio in a PSA 6. This one sold on November 19th for $6,100. It was an auction. There were 72 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 6 is this sale here at $6,100 and does represent a new record high sale for a PSA 6 copy. The previous high was $2,995 back in July of 2019 through eBay. Now, there were two other significant 1940 Play Ball Joe DiMaggio sales in November. First off, we have a PSA 5 copy that sold on November 11th for $4,095, and then a PSA 3 copy that sold on November 14th for $2,744. At number 8, we have this 1949 Bowman early win in a PSA 9. This one sold on November 20th for $6,699. It was an auction. There was only one bidder. The current VCP average price for a PSA 9 is $5,690. The record high sale was $8,700 back in June of 2022 through PWCC. In a PSA 9, there have been 13 copies graded. None have been graded a PSA 10. At number 7, we have this 1949 Leaf Babe Ruth in a PSA 4. This one sold on November 17th for $7,300. It was an auction. There were 38 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 4 is $6,184. The record high sale was $10,742 back in May of 2023 through Memory Lane. There were three other significant 1949 Leaf Babe Ruth sales in November. First, we have a PSA 2 copy that sold on November 17th for $4,250. Then another PSA 2 copy sold on November 10th for $4,169. And finally, a PSA 1 copy sold on November 12th for $3,195. At number 6, we have this 1940 Play Ball Joe Jackson in a PSA 5. This one sold on November 19th for $8,278. It was an auction. There were 62 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 5 is $5,653. This sale here at $8,278 represents a new record high sale for a PSA 5 copy. The previous high was $6,700 back in June of this year through eBay. Now, there was one other significant 1940 Play Ball Joe Jackson sale in November. We have a PSA 3 copy that sold on November 17th for $4,088. At number 5, we have this 1948 Bowman Ralph Kiner in a PSA 9. This one sold on November 17th for $8,500. It was an auction. There was only one bidder. The current VCP average price for a PSA 9 is this sale here at $8,500, but does not represent a new record high sale. That was for $14,761 back in May of 2022 through memory lane. There have only been 12 copies graded a PSA 9, and only one has been graded a PSA 10. At number 4, we have this 1948 Swell Sport Thrill Jackie Robinson in a PSA 6. This one sold on November 6th for $10,000. It was a buy it now. The current VCP average price for a PSA 6 is $9,650. This sale here at $10,000 represents a new record high sale for a PSA 6 copy. The previous high was $9,900 back in August of last year through REA. Now, there was one other significant 1948 Swell Sport Thrills Jackie Robinson sale in November. A PSA 2.5 copy sold on November 28th for $7,099. At number 3, we have this 1949 Leaf Larry Doby in a PSA 6, and this is a short print in the 1949 Leaf set. This one sold on November 17th for $11,700. It was an auction. There were 55 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 6 is $12,750. The record high sale was $13,800 back in August of this year through REA. At number 2, we have this 1949 Leaf Jackie Robinson in a PSA 5. This one sold on November 2nd for $20,100. It was an auction. There were 79 bids. The current VCP average price for a PSA 5 is $19,650. The record high sale, though, was $67,655 back in April of 2021 through a PWCC listing on eBay. Now, there was one other significant 1949 Leaf Jackie Robinson sale in November. We had an authentic altered copy sell on November 11th or November 17th for $7,102. And the number one sale for the 1940s for November 2025 was this 1949 Leaf Satchel Paige in an authentic altered condition. This is also a short print in the 1949 Leaf set. This one sold on November 5th for $21,000. It was a best offer. The current VCP average price for a authentic altered copy is $16,800. So this sale here represents a new record high sale. The previous high for an authentic altered copy was $20,295 back in April of 2023 through Huggins and Scott. Well, there you go, the top 10 PSA vintage baseball card sales on eBay for cards from the 1930s and 1940s for November 2025. As always, would love to know in the comments what you think about the cards that made this month's top 10 lists. And with that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.